The next MonsterVerse film will be a sequel to Godzilla x Kong, the new empire, and with it comes plenty of speculation. What could it be about? While Wingard isn't returning, his absence is apparently only due to scheduling conflicts. As such, it wouldn't be surprising to see his ideas for the sequel crop up in the finished product. Before leaving the project, he had suggested that the sequel could follow Godzilla, much in the way that New Empire primarily followed Kong. We can assume, then, that what we're getting will be much more Godzilla-centric and therefore likely involve a villainous kaiju from his past iterations. This version of the radioactive behemoth has gone up against a few enemies previously seen in his Japanese counterpart, King Ghidorah, Raiden, and Mechagodzilla, as well as Mothra, if you want to include allies. Seeing as it's already been established that villains within this universe are capable of crafting massive mechanical monstrosities, we wouldn't be surprised to see Gigan make an appearance, perhaps as the main antagonist for Godzilla and Kong, as well as their new allies, Shimo and Suko. Gigan first appeared in the 1972 film Godzilla vs. Gigan, wherein the cyborg creature is the product of the M-Space Hunter Nebula aliens. It's a fearsome foe sent to Earth to aid in the aliens' invasion, but is defeated by Godzilla with the help of Anguirus. We could see a version of the same story playing out in the MonsterVerse, albeit with Anguirus replaced by Kong. The alien aspect would also likely be changed to a more human threat. But at the same time, this is a franchise that's gotten so off the wall insane within the last two entries that alien invaders aren't completely off the table. Besides, King Ghidorah is revealed to be an extraterrestrial creature, so we've already entered that world. Gigan returned in 1973's Godzilla vs. Megalon, wherein the monster is sent to aid the people of Seatopia by teaming up with their god, Megalon, to defeat Godzilla and Jet Jaguar. The concept of the Seatopians is something we could also see established within the MonsterVerse. We already have the Hollow Earth, so it wouldn't be a huge stretch to present a race of people living under the Earth's surface. If they were to be added to the canon, it might make sense to replace Megalon with Gigan, since Megalon is a far less memorable kaiju. Perhaps they could even use the body of a Megalon-like creature to build the fearsome Gigan. As a side note, wouldn't it be amazing to see Jet Jaguar in a MonsterVerse flick? It's one of the more unlikely things to happen, but it would be a great bit of fan service for die-hard Godzilla fans. His only live-action appearance is in Godzilla vs. Megalon, and many believe that he would make for a fantastic addition to the outlandish world of the MonsterVerse. Another option for a more Godzilla-focused entry would be to introduce Destoroyah, which is the byproduct of the oxygen destroyer used to defeat the original Godzilla in 1954. Obviously, an exact duplicate of this plot wouldn't work since our version of Godzilla wasn't properly defeated by the oxygen destroyer. As you may recall, the device was introduced and utilized in Godzilla, King of the Monsters, in an attempt to take out Godzilla and King Ghidorah, with the latter emerging unscathed. Perhaps we could flash back to that one-time use of the device and show how it affected marine life, and, in turn, created Destoroyah. If the creative team didn't want to go that route, it's conceivable that a similar device is created and used as a means of combating the threat of Titans, and this inadvertently leads to a Destoroyah-like antagonist. With the increase in Titan activity and the way they destroy major cities every few years, it would make sense for a government entity to try and combat this massive threat, thereby creating something far worse in the process. This does lead to the question of whether anyone remembers what happened last time a similar device was used, but humans tend to be pretty short-sighted, so we'll just assume it's hand-waved away. The main goal here would be to create something of the size and intensity of that particular monster. As you could imagine, seeing Godzilla and Kong face off against something as badass as the final form of Destoroyah would be quite the thrill. Of course, this is mostly ignoring the presence of the Hollow Earth, which is likely to be a major element in a sequel to New Empire. So what kind of a plot would best utilize this unique location? With the previous film focusing so much on Kong, we still think that this follow-up will focus on Godzilla. So, most likely, whatever threat the Earth faces will come from the Hollow Earth, like the Scar King in New Empire. We do get some lip service about governments seeking to exploit the Hollow Earth. This could lead to a greater human presence, which in turn would likely corrupt the environment. This could lead to any number of threats, including the aforementioned baddies, but perhaps it could also result in a pollution narrative. As private companies become more involved in the development of technologies related to the Hollow Earth, they would almost definitely abuse their power and cause some sort of disaster, perhaps even one along the lines of Hedorah, otherwise known as the smog monster. Hedorah debuted in the 1971 film Godzilla vs. Hedorah. In the film, Hedorah is a space creature that melds with Earth's pollution. But we could see this origin change to something more earthbound. The same human interference could also lead to Godzilla turning against humanity, which might be the most dramatic turn the film could muster. If he were to do so, the Earth and Kong would find themselves in quite the pickle. If this is the inciting incident, then perhaps humanity could turn to a titan they don't fully understand to save them. Perhaps a titan that's alien to our world, like King Ghidorah. This would once again be a perfect opportunity to introduce Gigan and the general idea of intelligent life from outer space. When it comes right down to it, we know very little about the plot of this untitled MonsterVerse film other than that it will deal with Godzilla and Kong against a world-ending threat. That doesn't really give us a whole lot to work with, since just about every threat in the MonsterVerse is world-ending to some degree. With so little to go on, we can't even begin to imagine how our cast of human characters will be involved. Considering everyone in the cast thus far seems to be involved with the military or monarch, we've essentially been given nothing to work with in the speculation department. Let's dig into what we actually know for certain. For example, we know that the sequel is set to begin production in April 2025. Matthew Modine is set to play some sort of military general, while Booksmart in The Last of Us Season 2 star Caitlin Dever is set for a starring role. Although nothing else is known about what part she has to play, it has been revealed that her character will have a brother, played by 28 years later's Jack O'Connell. In February, it was revealed that Delroy Lindo would also be joining the cast in an undisclosed role. Those sources told The Hollywood Reporter that he would be playing Dever's boss at Monarch. Dan Stevens is set to reprise his role as everyone's favorite kaiju dentist/trapper. You can't have a titan with a toothache, can you? The finished film is set to arrive in theaters on March 26, 2027. There's also some cast speculation that seems highly likely. For example, Rebecca Hall is possibly going to return as Dr. Eileen Andrews, along with adopted daughter Gia, played by Kaylee Hoddle. However, Hall noted in an interview with Screen Rant that she's yet to hear anything and might not be in the film. Brian Tyree Henry's conspiracy theorist Bernie Hayes is also likely to return. All three appeared in 2021's Godzilla vs. Kong and 2024's The New Empire, and there's no known reason for them not to appear in the latest sequel. As far as the creative team goes, director Adam Wingard has bowed out after helming the last two entries. He's been replaced by I Am Mother director Grant Sputor, while script duties have been given to Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings writer Dave Callahan, who also wrote early drafts of the 2014 Godzilla. And finally, while we haven't been given any specifics, Legendary has stated that the story will feature several new human characters alongside the beloved and iconic titans, Godzilla and Kong, as they face off against a cataclysmic, world-ending threat. What do you think will happen? Let us know in the comments, and thank you for watching Movie Recap Pro.